Welcome back, everyone. Marty Braden here. Are you ready for part 3 of my book's introduction? At the close of part 2, we had just finished discussing why we shouldn't write off the debate as being resolved by so-called settled science, like atheist scientists would have us do. We had said that there certainly are conflicting interpretations and opinions being offered up by both sides regarding God's existence, but we had also determined that this debate is not between science and religion. It's between atheism and theism. So let's pick it up from there. Okay. The first author on the short book list I listed earlier in the video just before this one is Francis Collins, the retired director of the National Institute of Health in the United States of America as of December 2021, and the former head of the Human Genome Project. His predecessor as head of that project was Jim Watson, winner with Francis Crick of the Nobel Prize for discovering the double helix structure of DNA. Collins is a Christian, Watson an atheist. They are both top-level scientists, obviously, which shows us that what divides them is not their science, but their worldview. There is a real conflict for sure, but it is not science versus religion. It is atheism versus theism. My point here is the fact that there are scientists of high reputation on both sides of this worldview debate. It is also a fact that some of today's atheist scientists are not being authentic and forthright about many of their findings. And that motivated me to join in, this debate, especially because there weren't any Latter-day Saints that I'm aware of who specifically took on the task of refuting Richard's book, The God Delusion, that book specifically. So, after reading Dawkins' book, I decided to join in the debate and write about my personal perspective as a Latter-day Saint regarding Richard's atheistic, anti-theist, anti-Christ book, The God Delusion. My perspective focuses on the real question at stake here. And the real question for me is not whether God exists or doesn't exist. It's, is science pointing away from God's existence? Or is it pointing ever more towards his existence? In other words, what is the reality about God and our relationship to him if he exists? And is science's data itself neutral on this topic or these ideas? The so-called secularization hypothesis, rashly assumed in the wake of the Enlightenment or the Century of the Enlightened, which was a European intellectual movement of the 17th and 18th centuries in which ideas concerning God, reason, nature, and humanity were synthesized into a worldview that gained wide assent in the West and instigated revolutionary developments in art and philosophy and politics. Central to Enlightenment thought were the use and celebration of reason, the power by which humans understand the universe and improve their condition. The goals of rational humanity were considered to be knowledge, freedom, and happiness. The Enlightened asserted that religion would eventually decline and even die out. Can you imagine that? But the opposite has happened. I compare the debate about God's existence to a caravan of camels, which I've called the Caravan of Truth. The caravan's camels are the different areas of study, each driven by theist believers in a living God. These believers patiently and courageously cross the arid desert of doubt, looking for additional evidence to put on their dromedaries' backs, evidence that will help prove God's existence, yet all the while paying no mind to the pack of scrappy dogs that are continually yapping at their heels, the scrappy dogs being the atheists like Richard Dawkins and other mocking non-believers. The theists are pressing onward to the golden city where Jesus Christ, as the resurrected Lord, will reveal all truth to the entire world at his second coming and begin his millennial reign. The critic's quips and anti-theist attitude is reflected in this ancient descript. The dogs bark, but the caravan moves on, which was stated in our day by Paul John Keating. Believers in the false god called secularism or humanism have the goal of killing the idea that there's a living God, and they are driving the big question of God's existence ever higher on the agenda. Atheist scientists seem, to me, to be manifesting a fear that highly recognized scientists will soon discover that damaging evidence that says, that smoking gun says supernatural, divine intelligence, the powerful beginning causal cause, and the causal chain does in fact exist. I suggest you, my readers and my viewers, watch the YouTube video where the astrophysicist, Christian apologist, and author Hugh Ross refers to the atheist, hard word to string that together, refers to the atheist physicist Dr. Phillip Ball, a British science writer. For more than 20 years, Ball was editor of the scientific journal called Nature. Ross quotes Dr. Ball quoting 3 non-believing scientists' view of dark matter as an example. Ross's video is called Dr. Hugh Ross Conference Weekend Session 3 Cosmic Reasons to Believe in Christ. Here's a few excerpts from an article Dr. Ross wrote on this very topic, and I quote, "Dark energy refers to the self-stretching property of the space-time fabric of the universe. Space, because of dark energy and independent of matter or light, stretches itself. Moreover, the larger the space-time envelope of the universe grows, the more stretching energy it gains. This gaining of stretching energy causes some science writers to refer to dark energy as an anti-gravity factor. The effect of dark energy on the space-time envelope of the universe is to make 2 massive bodies appear to repel one another. Moreover, the farther apart 2 bodies are from one another, the more strongly they'll appear to repel one another. In contrast, gravity acts as a brake on cosmic expansion. In junior high physics classes, we all learned that according to the law of gravity, 2 massive bodies attract one another, and the closer 2 massive bodies are to one another, the stronger they'll attract. Since the universe contains a lot of mass, gravity works to pull the massive bodies together and thereby slows down cosmic expansion. When the universe is young and more compact, gravity's effect on cosmic dynamics would be powerful, while dark energy would be weak." It's kind of blowing my mind. I don't remember in my teenage years quite getting this detailed, but things have really improved for studies. Anyhow, continuing. However, when the universe is old and more spread out, dark energy's effect would be strong while gravity's would be weak. Thus, if gravity alone influences cosmic dynamics, astronomers will observe that throughout cosmic history, the expansion of the universe slows down. The slowing down effect will be seen to get progressively weaker as the universe ages. However, if both gravity and dark energy are operable, astronomers will see cosmic expansion transition from slowing down to speeding up. For more than 2 decades, Ross says, many atheists and virtually all young Earth creationists have been adamant in denying the existence of dark energy. Atheists reject dark energy because it implies a relatively recent cosmic beginning. It implies a beginning so recent as to defy a naturalistic explanation for the origin of life and history of life that makes possible the origin and existence of human beings who attain a global high-technology civilization. Another reason they do not like dark energy is because of the fine-tuning design it implies. In 2002, Phillip Ball, that's the atheist physicist and former senior editor of Nature magazine, interviewed theoretical physicists Lisa Dyson, Matthew Kleban, and Leonard Susskind about a paper they had just published and quoted them as saying, quote, "Arranging the cosmos as we think it is arranged would have required a miracle." Listen to that. Arranging the cosmos as we think it is arranged, would have required a miracle. In the same interview, the 3 physicists said, quote, "The existence of dark energy would imply that an unknown agent intervened in the evolution of the universe for reasons of its own." The 3 physicists, all of whom are non-theists, concluded their paper with these words, quote, "Perhaps the only reasonable conclusion is that we do not live in a world with a true cosmological constant," end quote. The cosmological constant is another term for dark energy. They felt compelled to deny the existence of dark energy because the alternative was an agent beyond space and time performing miracles for reasons of his own. Young Earth creationists, too, wished that dark energy would go away. They wished this because it's for a reason opposite to non-theistic scientists. If dark energy is real, they think, it makes the universe too old for real interpretation of the for their interpretation of the Genesis 1 creation days and the Genesis 5 and 11 genealogies. Like it or not, dark energy is real. with a measure as accurate as dark energy comprising, and some big little number here, of all the stuff on the universe, there isn't any rational basis for doubting its existence. It makes up more than 2/3 of the universe. Those who believe in the God of the Bible should like it. It implies that the universe had a beginning in finite time, as the Bible repeatedly declares. Furthermore, the fine-tuning design implies that a known agent who can operate from beyond space and time has miraculously intervened in the history of the universe for reasons of his own. End quote. This sounds a lot like what Isaac Newton said about the universe and its creator, doesn't it? End of excerpt from Dr. Ross. Okay, to be fair and balanced with this, let me share with you, my readers and my viewers, what a cosmologist, atheist scientist had to say about this same topic, and more particular about what he called starting a universe from nothing without any supernatural shenanigans. That made me laugh. I'm speaking of retired Professor Lawrence Maxwell Kraus, who is an American-Canadian theoretical physicist and cosmologist who previously taught at Arizona State University, Yale University, and Case Western Reserve University. What a bright man. I have to admit that he is terribly smart. Dr. Kraus did a lecture at Radcliffe Institute for Advanced Study at Harvard University titled A Universe from Nothing, which is now a video on YouTube under this same title. You, my readers and viewers, should check out the full video lecture for the complete explanation of Dr. Kraus's belief that the universe created itself from nothing. But I'm only going to state a couple of quotes from that video lecture by Dr. Kraus on what nothing means to him. Dr. Kraus took about 30 minutes to describe where the universe came from, as well as what the total gravitational energy in the universe is, and why B over A is the quantity omega, which is equal to 1, and the total gravitational energy equals 0. And then Dr. Kraus says, listen to this, this begins to suggest that we can create a universe from nothing. Everything in the universe has a total gravitational energy of 0, and so without any supernatural shenanigans, meaning intervention by God, in principle, we can create a universe from nothing. So go ahead and find on this video 48 minutes and 18 seconds on the video, and then watch it going forward. Dr. Kraus goes on to discover 3 different versions of his concept of nothing, while giving a little jab at all philosophers and theologians, saying they're experts at making much to do about nothing. Watch the video to learn why he says there are 3 versions of nothing. Richard Dawkins, the self-appointed leader of the more popular pack of new atheists, the unholy trinity, as they have been tagged, or the 4 horsemen is another name given to these atheists, with Daniel Dennett being the 4th horseman, has been frantically turning up the volume of his yapping and barking from loud to shrill. All the while, the logic of his arguments, in particular over the last 5 years or so, has started to fracture. At least they have in my view. So, many of Richard's fellow atheists are now coming to a similar conclusion as Dr. Ball has, who I just mentioned. Yet Richard is determined to raise the consciousness of the public to this belief that God does not exist, which is his stated purpose for writing his book. He's working hard to spread his quasi-gospel of atheism, preaching that it's the only intellectually respectable viewpoint on today's sophisticated scientific landscape. Well, I'm going to stop there because what gets in next is so exciting. That gives you something to chew on. Go back and watch that video on that and ask your questions and make your comments. I look forward to the back and forth and the give and take until next time when I do the 3rd part of this introduction. But until then, I wish you continued success. Goodbye.